Morning. I am Melikyan from California State University, Northridge, Department of Chemistry and Biochemistry. And title of my presentation, Diaminotoluenes mix to list or not to list. Diaminotoluenes are isomeric compounds. What they have in common is the presence of methyl group and two amino groups, which are attached to the periphery of the aromatic hexagon, and they are related to each other or positional isomers. And they can be divided into certain groups when the amino groups are in ortho position to each other, or they are the main meta position to each other, with 2,5 being the unique since they are in para position to each other. In fall 2014, the Big Lots has came up with the petition to delist the diaminotoluene or DAT mix from the Prop 65 list. And in December 2014, I provided a declaration in which the evidence, the petition was analyzed and the evidence was presented that these compounds should be listed maybe in some modified version that I will show you at the end of my presentation. I would like to show a couple of arguments which were given in the Big Lots petition. The first argument by the experts which prepared this petition was the very nature of the document which was used actually for listing. And 1986 document was presented showing that this is in fact a draft and not the final document. The truth is that the defendant expert was using a wrong document because the listing was based not on 1986 but 1988 document, and it is clearly stated that it is not a draft but this is a final document. The second argument for delisting presented by Big Lots expert was that listing of diaminotoluene mix is unclear and confusing. In fact, the truth is that the number of positional isomers theoretically possible are not 10, as the expert claims, but only 6. And these are the numbers which are presented here. And the final document from 1988 clearly indicates that this assignment as carcinogenic is based on the carcinogenicity of 2,4-diaminotoluene, and assignment is applicable to all isomers of diaminotoluene, meaning to remaining out of 6, 5 isomers. So apparently it's not clear and confusing, it's properly explained. And the third argument for delisting is, in the expert's opinion, is the most correct definition of diaminotoluene mix is a formulation of mixed salts of 2,4-diaminotoluene, and at the very least the mixture must contain in part a component of 2,4-diaminotoluene. These are the most puzzling comments I have ever seen in the scientific literature, because it clearly indicates that it's applicable to all isomers of diaminotoluene, and there is nothing about salt, and there is nothing about the obligatory presence of that specific, the 2,4-diaminotoluene. And this comment is repeated actually in the 20-plus pages document 3 times, applicable to all isomers of diaminotoluene. Another reason for delisting, it's recently presented, is that DAT isomers are difficult to determine in cosmetic formulations because of the limitations of chromatographic methods. The truth is that by using the nuclear magnetic resonance spectroscopy, 2,4, 2,5, and 2,6 are easily determined, and presence is established in several minutes. We have done it repeatedly. And the last and fifth argument for delisting DAT is the following. The problem is that there is nothing in state Proposition 65 listing that defines what the composition of this mixture could be. It is impossible to tell since Prop 65 listing doesn't include the CAS number. The truth is that it's understandable why Prop 65 doesn't include the CAS number, because it is a single listing that covers several compounds. When it's more than one compound, especially group of compounds are covered, apparently not the multiple lines in the Prop 65 can be allocated to present all CAS numbers. And these are just the 19 examples from the current list of the Prop 65 in which we have a group listing for the whole classes of organic compounds, and in none of them, as you can see over here, lead compounds, chromium-6, aminoglycosides, barbiturates, and of course none of the CAS numbers are given for an obvious reason. Now, in which cases these single listings are justified? Well, if from the scientific point of view, we understand the mechanism of carcinogenicity, and when going from one component to the other, we preserve the key functional groups, then of course it's understandable that there is a very good chance that they will have analogous biological activity, or which part of the molecule will be not consequential for the biological activity in question. I'm giving you as an example for female hormone, which is shown over here. These are the sites of the enzymatic hydroxylation. And apparently this is the warhead of the molecule along with this OH, there's a contact points, and they are responsible for conversion of orthohydroquinone in particular to carcinogenic orthoquinones. But also there is a silent part of the molecule, and it's non-consequential one, and if we introduce the metal groups in these positions, we definitely would anticipate that there won't be too much change. There can be a quantitative changes in certain parameters, but won't be a qualitative change. So coming up with the current about single listings, the way it is done in Prop 65 for at least 19 cases, is completely justified. Reason one is scientifically sound. Reason two is economically efficient. We don't have to test each and every structural analog when the outcome is more or less obvious. Reason three, it's societal responsible because it decreases the tax burden, financial tax burden. And reason four, it saves people lives, because if we look too long, you know how long usually it takes to do all these toxicological studies of different types, scientific studies. It takes years and years, and millions of people are subjected to these compounds. Now let me just comment on some of the DET isomers that we are analyzing today. The first molecule is a 2,4-diaminotoluene, which we'll all agree is a proven human carcinogen, and it is listed. If we look at 2,6 and 3,5, and we analyze the disposition of amino groups, they all belong to the same class of diamines, which are metadiamine. So the only difference between these three molecules is the presence of metal group, which is at the top of the hexagon here, between two NH2s, and here in a meta to two amino groups. These are the compounds which are currently under consideration. So by knowing so much about the oncology of these compounds, enzymatic transformations of different classes of compounds, it is obvious that the chemistry of these compounds, type of enzymatic transformation, will be analogous because they belong to the same type of the compounds, which are metadiamines. Here we're showing the triad of molecules for proving this point. If we have a benzidine, and this is the core structure for this molecule, 3,3-dimethyl benzidine, analogous to benzidine, is a listed compound, is a known carcinogen. Just because of the presence of metal groups, it didn't stop being a carcinogen. Even 3,3' trimethoxy, still, since it is the core structure is there, these are the two criteria that I was showing at the beginning, it's still there. It doesn't surprise me that all these three compounds are listed as human carcinogens, as they should be. If we look at three other molecules, in particular those which has the orthodiamines, we're talking about 2,3 and 3,4, they don't have a direct analogy as 2,4 for metadiamines, but they have a very powerful carcinogenic compound in the list of Prop 65, which is called orthophenylene diamine. And in orthophenylene diamine, of course, the diamino groups are in ortho position to each other. Here, the whole difference that we have, again, just the presence of one metal group in different positions on the periphery of the aromatic ring. How we can claim that this compound is carcinogenic, and these compounds most probably will be benign to the general public. And the reason why these meta compounds are especially dangerous, because we know the whole story with orthoquinones. Orthoquinones are proven carcinogenic compounds. This is the structure of the female hormone. This is a 2-hydroxy and 4-hydroxy, the enzymatic oxidations. And these are the further transformations of the orthohydroquinone 3,4, which is formed over here. It is known that it oxidizes to orthoquinones. It is known that orthoquinones are carcinogenic compounds. It is known that DNA bases can add to this position at the top of the hexagon and to form the adducts. On top of it, the 40 structures has been already isolated when the nucleophilic biological entities are added to the quinonic compounds. And no one is arguing about the fact that the female hormone is a carcinogenic compound, and it is a listed compound in Prop 65. And these are absolutely analogous compounds. We should expect that these compounds will be oxidized. there is plenty of evidence for different type of the dehydrogenation reactions forming orthodiamines, and these orthodiamines, analogous to the orthoquinones, should be able to react with the DNA bases and also with nucleophilic amino acids like cysteine and arginine, decapacitating or incapacitating the key enzymes inside the body. Overall, aromatic compounds, and unfortunately DET, all isomers, they belong to aromatic compounds, really are not the benign class of compounds. Here is aniline, which is a listed compound. These are just metal derivatives of aniline with one metal group, with three metal groups, and all of them are listed compounds. And this is obvious because the core structure, which causes the aromaticity, apparently is not a metal group. It is just a combination of NH2 group with the aromatic compound. This is, again, orthophenylene diamine, and it has now two amines, and this one also 2,5-diamino, which is currently under consideration. It belongs to the same class of, as you can see, the aromatic amines. And overall, aromatic amines are heavily represented in Prop 65 list. These are the 19 examples of aromatic amines of different type, of different topology, of different number of rings, different disposition of the substituents, different nature of substituents. The only thing that they have in common, the presence of the NH2 and the aromatic ring. So the last thing we would like to do to expose the general public to more of these compounds. Truly, the lessons of history are not learned. And I would like also to show at the end the compilation of the biological activities which are known today. This is just the tip of the iceberg, and very comprehensive review has been provided today by OHIA specialists. This is the 2,4-DAT compound over here. And this is its isomeric molecule, which is 2,5. It's shown is mutagenic, it's genotoxic, it's carcinogenic in mice, carcinogenic in rats, testicular or lung tumor. It is true that authors didn't consider this to be sufficient to say that it is proven carcinogen, but it was statistically significant. On top of it, it is shown to be teratogenic in mice. The fetuses suffered from skeletal malformations such as fused and distorted thoracic vertebra associated with an absent and fused ribs. So 2,5-DAT not only has all this data behind it, but also is known a teratogenic compound. If you look at the original paper and the malformations which are presented in a very graphic form, it is very convincing. It is a teratogenic compound. So talking about the 2,6 compound, 2,6-diaminotoluene, it is mutagenic, genotoxic. Also, it's known to produce the DNA-damaging free radicals even in larger quantities than known human carcinogen, which is 2,4 derivative. And already I talked about those compounds which contain the amino groups in ortho position. The fact is that if compounds are mutagenic, then there is a very good chance they will also be carcinogenic, because 90% of known carcinogens, they are also mutagenic. And X-ray and UV radiation, which are, of course, the carcinogenic impact, they are also known to be mutagenic. By knowing so much about this, I would like to suggest that we do the following changes in the Prop 65 listing. Current listing, diaminotoluene mix, although it's clearly explained at the time by the OHIA what exactly it means, to avoid any kind of ambiguity, can be replaced with the diaminotoluene isomers and their salts. Type of activity, cancer, based on the totality of data which are presented today and in the literature. And clarification for the basis document should read, diaminotoluene isomers in Prop 65 listing include 2,3, the Cas number, 2,5 Cas number, 2,6 Cas number, 3,4 Cas number, and 3,5 Cas number, and should explicitly state that can be found in the consumer products either individually or as mixtures of any combinations thereof. And 2,4 should not be there because already it's a separate listing. I would also suggest that also there is no listing of 2,5-diaminotoluene as a developmental toxicant. The fact that the teratogenicity is shown, although in a limited number of papers, then I think we should introduce this one to keep public safe and to list it as a development toxicant as well. This concludes my presentation. Thank you.